5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? I hope you had a really, really fantastic Christmas and Santa filled your stockings with whatever it was. Even Jennifer Aniston, if that's who you wanted in your stockings. But no, I hope you had a good one. Apart, obviously, from the football, which is basically why I've done this very last minute now tonight. And I'm going to ask you all a question in a minute. But look, this is coming up, and I should be looking forward to the new year. January transfer window, getting excited. Who might be coming in? Who might be going? And I'm kind of not. I mean, that's probably the only fireworks that we'll see anywhere near Leicester City this season, or possibly for I don't know how many seasons. Clibo, good evening, sir. How the devil are you? He says, what a hideous 2025 for City. Can't see it getting any better in the foreseeable. You're not the only one, mate. I'm old. You know, I'm 65 next year. I actually qualify for a bus pass. I was late getting into Leicester. I didn't really get into Leicester till I was sort of as a football club till I was 16. My dad, he was into wrestling at the Granby Halls. He wasn't a football fan. My brother wasn't a football fan. I didn't have a huge circle of friends, but I got into it sort of towards the end of my schooling, start of my work life, when I started to meet other people that were supporting Leicester and started to go. I can remember my first match, which was an evening friendly pre-season against Red Star Belgrade, which we actually won. I think that was almost as good as it got for my entire supporting life. I used to love watching Match of the Day when Leicester was on, even to the point where it was hosted by the guy that bullied me virtually every day at school, and I put it with that still to watch it. Hi, Gary. You do with your team, and I'm not saying here that I've started to hate my team. I'm just falling out of love with it. And as it says there even, can't be arsed with it anymore. You know, I joked before Christmas. I went on holiday to Lanzarote and I missed 3 games. Whilst I was away, I got to see one. I saw a bit of the other. I wasn't bothered about missing those games. That was the thing. It wasn't like, oh, I must get to a club or a pub to try and see the game. And even if it's not on Sky, there's a little backstreet pub that we found that would have a stick that they could put in or something and we could watch it. I just didn't want to. One day when we were playing, it was on the Wednesday, I think the Bristol City game. I actually had it on my phone and was watching, and there was an act. She was on, stage right in front of us singing, and I had the phone right in front of me there, and with the match on. And I ended up watching more of her and the singer than I did of the match. And Clibbo, yeah, exactly. And I thought, yeah, but then look, 7 points out of 9. I thought, okay, maybe let's, I'm being unfair. We joked about, should I stay away and then we'll always win games, blah blah blah. And then we came back. I came back off my holiday, and it got back to exactly how it was before. We beat Ipswich Town, and this is Leicester. This is Leicester. We beat the teams that we don't expect to, and lose to the teams we should beat. 2 great 3-1s away at Derby and at home to Ipswich. All right, 2-2 to Bristol. Before the game, we'd have probably taken that, but I was kind of 2-0 up. You're thinking, yeah, we should do this. And then we had the Queen's Park Rangers result. And then your manager asks for a response. And the response we get is, I've only seen the highlights, but I've seen the videos. I mean, Kate sent me a video post-match. And this was another one where I'd actually arranged. Jim was with family. I was going to do a watch along. Tom had agreed to come in and do the watch along with me. Wayne was going to come on post match and join us for that. And I decided that was the day I saw my granddaughter, who was 8.5 months. So I saw my first Christmas. I saw my granddaughter on Christmas Day. It was only about an hour because Christmas Day they were seeing. Sean's wife's family. So Christmas, Boxing Day, she was there all day. They were there all day, and I decided that I would sooner spend time with my granddaughter than doing a watch along. Normally, I would do anything not to have to spend time with the in-laws. It's a joke, but you know what I mean. But I'd sooner have done that. I couldn't be asked. I had it on my phone again, 5 minutes, and I thought, well, we're 1-0 up. We're 1-0 up. You know what? We could do well here. And no, we just didn't deserve it. And obviously we went on to lose 2-1. I want to get one thing straight out the window here is I am not saying that I'm going to go off and support another football team. And I know a lot of people that live down on the south coast where I live, they support one of my old mates from when I worked with him, huge Arsenal fan and also a Bournemouth fan. And, it was a joke that, well, one of them might win, and whoever won was the team he supported that weekend. But like he said, when he started supporting Bournemouth, when he, because his family moved here, etc., they were bottom league, 4th tier, -70. He said this should never happen. These two teams shouldn't be playing together, And when we moved to Bournemouth, my son said, "Oh, we're going to start going to watch Bournemouth." And I went, "I can't, no." Because it's like having an affair. I'm a Leicester fan. I can't go and watch Bournemouth. Again, I did go and start watching Poole Town for a little bit. They're non-league. They're in about the 8th tier. We're never going to have a Bournemouth Arsenal sort of situation. But I was able to make friends, and I got involved with the club, and it was good to. Oh, it was proper football. I know we always joke about proper football. That was proper football. I was lucky enough to see Charlie Austin at the end of his career. Yeah, I stood behind the goal, and the guy stood next to me was effing and blinding, and because just one particular game we weren't doing well, and I got talking to him. So I said, "So how long have you supported the club then?" He said, "I bloody own it." I was stood next to the owner, who was effing and blinding along with the rest of us. That's what football should be. That's what we know it's not, and we have to accept it's not. And I was just sat there today thinking, yeah, we've got a match tomorrow. We can do a watch along. And I thought, I really, really can't be asked. Doing all this here, it costs over 500 quid a year, easily. Probably around 600, 650 quid a year for all the setup and all, things to do all the artwork on and what have you. I don't make that back at all, but I do get a little bit of money off YouTube, a bit off Talk Sport, and a little bit from the BBC when we're in the Premier League. But certainly not enough to cover the cost. But it's never been about the cost, because it's your football club. Most of the time, before the Premier League, and yes, there was football before the Premier League, if you're young, go and ask your parents, you supported either the club where you were born or the club that basically your dad supported. Now, of course, the third choice is it's one of the big six that are always on the telly. But I can't just drop. I know I won't be dropping Leicester and going, I'm now going to go and support Coventry, Derby, Forest, whatever, or even I can't go and support Man United. I follow Man United because my family, as in brother-in-law and nephews, are all Man United fans. But that's for the banter and what have you. But I just can't be arsed with Leicester. Football as a general is not what it used to be. We know that. It's all about money. Like I say, watching Poole Town stood next to the owner of the club was a breath of fresh air. Now, and like I say, we do know it's all about money. And I used to travel. I had a season ticket for a few years. And the last year that I had my season ticket was the year of the Great Escape. And yeah, it was a joke that after that I got rid of it. And then and then we went and won the bloody thing. And I used to travel on that last season with my son. I used to travel, I've said it many times, 7.5, 8 hours return journeys from where I live to Leicester. Then you got the cost of food on the way. You got to try and find parking. You got to get there. You got to be up early. I mean, if it was a 12 o'clock kickoff, we're almost setting off the night before. The cost of petrol, which isn't cheap these days, or it wasn't even then, and then to watch us lose. I wouldn't do that now. If somebody gave me a free season ticket, I would not go and do all that to watch this bunch of tossers, basically. They just, when I watch that team, and I've watched it, look, I followed this. My first team was Jimmy Bloomfield. When we moved house from the house where I lived when I was born to the house where I eventually moved out when I moved around the country with my job, the second house, living opposite me, was Lenny Glover, the Leicester City winger. Lovely guy. And I'll never forget, he had a red setter dog, I was at school at the time, and I had a friend up the road, up the hill. I can't remember what he was called. I used to go take the dogs for a walk, and he used to include me, and then I'd take the dog for a walk on its own, and he'd invite me in for a drink. And that guy was like a god. It was like, I don't know, it's like a pop star, like Ed Sheeran coming in on my radio show. This was like Lenny Glover. Now, I used to go to school and say, "Oh, what Lenny Glover's dog this weekend? Brilliant, lovely red setter and all this." I wouldn't walk Jan Vestergaard's dog, not if he paid me. And I have to say, Lenny Glover didn't pay me. I did it because I wanted to, because I admired him. I don't admire hardly any of the players that are there. Yeah, there's the odd one, Jordan James, etc. But most of them, no. And look, it was a great. I remember actually going to see my team win, and it wasn't the FA Cup; it was the League Cup under Martin O'Neill. We beat Tranmere 2-1, and I remember being in the crowd there and feeling so proud. And if you say to me now, look, you can have the last 10 years that you had, winning the Premier League, Europe twice, quarterfinals of the Champions League, semi-finals of the Conference League, FA Cup final, like I say, 2 seasons of European football, regular top half finishes. But at the end of that 10 years, you get relegated. Would you do it again? Of course I bloody would. I'm sorry, yeah. But what I would expect at the end of that is players that wanted to play for the club. You go out, and I mean, I've taken early retirement, but you go out and you do your job. Probably could be a job you love, might not be a job you love, but you go because it pays you enough to pay the bills and hopefully, keep a roof over your head and food on the table for the family. You have that certain responsibility. The players aren't. There's no player there that they are robbing this club blind. They ought to run on, not with black armbands, they ought to run on with black masks. Because they are highway robbers. They are running onto that pitch every day. They are getting, 90,000 a year, is it? Harry Winks is on. We've got 2 of the top 2 highest wage earners, I was looking the other day, in the Championship are Leicester City players. And they do not give a shit about this club. When I saw that team under Nigel Pearson, we had leaders. Somebody said there, we haven't got leaders. We haven't, Craig. We're talking about how can you give, we're relying on our leader to be a OAP, Ricardo Pereira. His best days are behind him. We're all saying, oh, what a fantastic right back he is. No, he's shit right back. He used to be a good right back. He used to be one of the best right backs in the Premier League. But that was a while ago. And we've got a captain who can't play 2 games in a week. And we were talking about who else we would give that captain's armband to. And we were really struggling. The only one we came down to was Vestergaard for his experience. Nobody else there. But I've got to say, I did actually probably think AU, because, who was it? Who got that huddle together? Was that in the QPR game? I think it was, as I've not been watching them. He got the huddle together. I think it was AU and Bobby de Coover-Reid. Where the fuck was Ricardo Pereira as captain? That's his job. And yet we give him the captain's armband. Now look, it's easy to blame the manager. Very, very easy. And he does have to take a bit of responsibility. The the responsibility ends with him. And yes, Paul, so do I. But those players tried better. You've said it for me, mate. What that guy said. Yeah, he has to take some of the responsibility, but it's like trying to ride a bike with a flat tire. It really is. He was dealt. At least he wants to be here. Look, he paid to come here, so at least we have the manager that wants to be here. Same with Ian Holloway. I think it was the right manager, just at the wrong time. I don't think Pep Guardiola would have kept us up that season. We were destined to go down. We had Mandrich there as manager. He made a few boo-boos, let's be honest with you, in the manager stakes, but he kept us from going bust, and we love him for that. But those players tried. Ian Hume, you can never accuse him of not running, his self into the ground. And we know Holloway's a good manager because he got Blackpool to the Premier League. These players, but it's not just now. Somebody said earlier, I know it was in Capital, so they must have been shouting it, about Kuhn Top. It's all been about Vichai and Kuhn buying this club. Vichai and Top buying this club. They were the two. Now look, we accept that they couldn't Fashan. We accept that Vichai was the power behind the throne. He was the throne, let's be honest with you. He was the one with the business brain. I didn't realise that Top was actually his youngest son. Because, there's 2 or 3 other sons in there and a daughter and what have you. And he wasn't ready to take over, but he should have picked something up off his dad. And obviously, I know COVID didn't help and what have you, but a lot of sort of companies have gone out of business, and he was hit harder than most. But it was just the general running of the club. He should have got people in here that could have run it while he was over there. We all know that what the fuck John Rudkin is still doing in this club, I don't know. Why did Susan Whelan go? She was the only one and she wasn't perfect. She made mistakes. But, we know we've got problems. But he wanted to close his eyes. He did a fantastic... Did you watch that? Did you watch his interview when he was in the foyer of what looked like a gigantic car park? Did you see that interview? Fucking waste of time, wasn't it? What a load of bullshit. None of that's going to come true. Where's the football director? Where is he? Anybody seen him? And all this, well, you know what? The Thais don't talk. They were very secretive. He used to talk a lot because his dad didn't. Because his dad didn't have the language, knowledge of English language that Top had. But yeah, they used to talk. But following Leicester has been a roller coaster ride. Sometimes winning that, and I have to say it is tarnished now with the way that this club's being run. Winning that, as wonderful and as fantastic as it is, and I would do it all again, but in a way it has become a bit of an albatross round our neck. Suddenly a lot of fans got entitled. We got a lot of fans coming on board that had never supported us before, a la Manchester United. We all know what their fans are like. Yep, and some of our fans were turning into them. But when we won the Premier League, and here's the thing with the fans, we were Premier League champions. So we thought, these players are going to want to play for us. We'll get the best players in the world now. We're Premier League champions. That we were Premier League champions, Leicester City. People still hadn't heard of us. They knew, in all fairness, that it was never going to happen again. It happened. Was it Leverkusen that did it in Germany? Back to Bayern Munich now. Hi, Reese. How you doing? And Wayne as well is in. Hi, Wayne. It's only an albatross with the younger fans, but some of the older fans as well, expected. It's the expectations went up. If we'd have won that and then gone out and bought Jamie Vardy from Fleetwood Town for £1 million, the fans would have ripped the East Stand down. They really, really would. What? We're just Premier League champions and we're buying a player from the non-league. We were expected to then go and pay 30, 40 million pounds players. And we relied on the old players too much. This has been coming for a long, long time. When we won that Premier League, we were signing players that didn't really give a shit. What it says across the bottom, Reese. Yeah, they didn't give a shit. They're earning a few grand a week, a lot of grand a week. Doesn't matter what they do, whether they turn up or not. And then, we've got look, Top has invested a lot of money in Leicester. He doesn't want to throw that away. I'm sure he doesn't want us to fail, but he's not surrounding himself with the right people. And he hasn't done since his dad died. I'm just doing this on my own, Reese, to be honest with you tonight. So it was only a quick one. Just came on to get a moan off my chest. But thanks anyway. But thank you anyway. Because I want a team that looks like and it was funny. The funny thing is that I had a Burnley fan, as you know, Dan, the Burnley fan, is a good friend of mine. And he was saying he did one of these about Burnley, but he wants Parker out, which is interesting because I said that right at the start of the season. But I have totally and utterly lost the interest in following the team. I don't want Marty out because I think Marty's been dealt a very bad card. I'll tell you what, if anybody does, very, very quickly then, if anybody wants to come in, let me put the link. I'll put the link in the chat. And then... Thank you, Wayne. You're showing your age there. If we run 4-0 tomorrow, it won't move me one bit, but it won't alter my feelings towards this club. The thing is, Clibber, if we win 4-0 tomorrow, well, first of all, what you're drinking, can I have a pint of it, please? Secondly, we know it'll be a false dawn. Let me just. He's just lining his camera up as we speak. I think I'll give Reese a couple of minutes just to get himself into position. But it's not. The other day, I don't know which game it was. It was Sheffield United. We were 3 down at half time, and we got a goal back. And I sat here. Now, normally what I'm like when we score a goal. I'm like shouting and whooping and everything. And I just sat here and went, we've scored. I just don't give a shit. Watch along tomorrow. I can't be asked whether to do it or not. Christmas, I can just say, I don't fucking care. Who cares? That's how it's got me. That's how it's got me. Oh God, not Reese. Yes, indeed, Clibbo. How are you, Reese? How are you, mate?
All right, mate. Long time. Hope you're well, mate. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much. Hope you had a good one as well. Look, I'm here having a rant because I've watched very little Leicester City since mid-December. The Derby game, I was seeing my daughters in London. The next 2 games, the Bristol and the Ipswich, I was in Lanzarote. I kind of watched bits of it on the telly in pubs and what have you. And came back. I saw the QPR game. I was going to do a watch along for Watford, and decided that I couldn't be asked. I'd sooner have Boxing Day with my family. This club, and that's a lot. I've got it there, like Mr. Can't Be Asked. This club has made me not well. Yeah, it's made me can't be asked. I'm not saying I've stopped loving them. They're my team, and I will never stop loving them. You know, you can't just swap allegiances with football teams. But I just literally, I've not missed doing it. You know what I mean? I've had a few weeks off doing any content because of Christmas, and I've not missed it. Look, you go to the matches and what have you, and you can't argue. You've got to say that, supporting Leicester, we know it's a roller coaster. We know all the old cliches, but this, and it's not just the players. The big part of it, it's the whole thing. How are you? Are you feeling like? Is it just me that is feeling like that? Are you feeling the same?
Well, yeah, I've literally just come off the phone to Uncle Clibbo now, and I've told him I'm not going tomorrow. I really can't be bothered. I'm working till 6, and I cannot be bothered to go and sit there in the freezing cold, knowing that Derby are going to outfight us, outfought us, and they're going to beat us tomorrow. And that's the kind of way I'm feeling it. And until I think we have big, massive changes at the top of the club, with a new owner, with a fresh approach, a new direction, I don't think nothing's going to change, even with a new director of football supposedly coming in or whatnot. But it's just, as I've got older, I mean, I'm 27 now. I've been going down since 2004. I think I've been going down since. And as I've got older, I'm just like, I can't be asked to do this anymore. Money's ruined the game for me as well. Yeah. There's too much money in the game. There's no passion. There's no playing for the shirt. You get a rare player the last one we've had was Jamie Vardy, who played for the shirt. That's sort of died now. All these sort of players, let's play for the shirt, because they weren't earning much money. They had something to play for and all of that. But now there's too much money in the game, and it's just kind of just ruined it for me. All these foreign owners come into the game. Stupid transfer fees. It's just that's just how I'm feeling about the game in the minute, especially in my club. There's too many mistakes going on from top to bottom, and until he sells the club, it will not change. He has to go.
I mean, good point made there. And look, I mean, even when we had the Ian Holloway years, and I don't know if somebody said about it and I mentioned it in the chat. And nobody would have kept us up that year. No. And I think the best thing that could have happened to us was going down. But all right, let me ask you this then, because I never thought I'd be at a point where I'm actually kind of agreeing with you regarding the ownership, because we've got, we've had the best. Well, we've technically still got them, but the best owners that any club could have. I've forgotten the question now. If somebody came in, let me put this one to you. Mike Ashley looking for another club to buy. Now, I know there's a lot of things that went wrong for him at Newcastle United, but when he walked out of Newcastle United, that club was solvent. There was no worry about PSR. The people that came in, the Saudis came in, they could spend within reason what they wanted. He left that club in a very good financial situation.
He did, yes, but he didn't really understand the game. He openly admitted he didn't really understand football and how it works and all of that. And there was a lot of Newcastle fans, and people forget Newcastle are a massive club, and he took them down to the Championship, because of a lack of investment. And do we really want somebody like that at the club? I'd rather somebody like Man City. I know we're not going to get a multi-billionaire like Man City and Newcastle owners have got, but I want someone that's got nothing to do with the club, appoints football-minded people and say, right, you fuckers, you're going to do the job. You're going to do this job, you'll do this job, and I will just put the money up. That's how, Man City are run, PSG, Newcastle. They've got nothing to do with the club, and they just appoint football-minded people to pay to do the jobs. And unfortunately, we've got a guy that has no idea how to do that. Now, it's not his fault his dad passed away. That we need to make that clear. It's not his fault, of course, but he needed to sit down with himself and have a real think. Can I do this? Can I do this? And forget sentiment towards your dad. Can I do this from a money, from a financial, and from a football standpoint? And I think as time's gone on, we had a little bubbly period where we won the FA Cup, we won the Community Shield, we got to a European semi-final. But I always felt in the long term, this will not work. He's not learned his craft enough under his dad. And that's why they come out and said something about, I'm going to learn for the next 20 years and all of that. And he's nowhere near ready to run a football club. But in terms of Mike Ashley, not for me. No, we need someone that's football minded, or to stay away from the club and appoint football minded people to do the job and pay them to make the footballing decisions for the best interest of the club.
Agree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want Mike Ashley either. I was just using him as sort of an example because he got the financial side right. And yes, Newcastle did get relegated. They got promoted at the first attempt. They managed to hold on to fairly decent manager in Benitez. Sometimes, though, you do have to take that step back. I mean, look at Mandrich. He came in went to save us, which he did. All right, we had, we went through a few managers and we got, relegated. He happened to promote a good manager, although that nearly went up when he nearly got sacked. He was sacked, he wasn't sacked, etc. Then obviously later on he was. If COVID hadn't come along, do you think it would have been any different?
Yes, I do. I do think that was a massive. I think we're still suffering from that now. I think you can see from the financial standpoint, we're still suffering from COVID. I do think we'd still be a Premier League club, to be honest. But I think with the leadership at the top of the club, I do think we'd be teetering above like the relegation zone sort of thing, because I do think when we appointed Rodgers, there was never any long-term process with that appointment for me. It was always short-term, right? We're going to bring this guy and we're going to win a trophy. We're going to do this. There was no long-term thinking there. But I do think if COVID hadn't come along, I'd still think we'd be in the Premier League, but I think we'd be like a Wolves or a West Ham, just teetering above the relegation zone, because the success we had was never sustainable. And we took a massive gamble there and it didn't pay off twice.
We did a Leeds, didn't we? We
spent money that we didn't have. We spent money that we didn't have.
Dined at the top table, enjoyed it, and then paid silly prices. Like I say, we were when we won that, we had to pay huge salaries and transfer fees because the players didn't want to come to us. I would have guessed they'd look at it and they'd go, "Well, yeah, Manchester United haven't won anything for 10 years, but look, hey, it's Manchester United."
It's Manchester United, yeah.
Leicester City, they're Premier League, winners, but who are Leicester exactly? So I think we had to offer that sort of extra money, and it is all about that bit of luck. We employed, for example, Pearson after Southampton. He'd got Southampton safe at our expense, and then Southampton sacked him, and they probably regret that. And then we brought him in, and look, it wasn't Top's fault that Enzo went away in the way that he did, but I understand going away. You're not going to turn those sort of opportunities down. But it was just the decisions afterwards. With Rodgers, we now know that it was down to PSR that he didn't get that rebuild that he wanted. But why not just come out and say, why not just keep the fans involved? You've seen that interview, haven't you, that I said that he did in the parking lot at his, wherever it was in Thailand. I mean, was it a load of bullshit or was it a load of bullshit?
Well, I mean, I think that's a pretty simple question, to be honest, because look at what media outpost it was posted on. It was posted on the club's website, for goodness sake. He's not gone to any public, he's not even gone to the BBC, ITV, anything like that. It's on the club. It's on his terms. It's his club. He can say what he wants, and there's no hard questions asked, because he'll be saying, right, I want these questions asked because this is my club, and I'll answer the questions that I want to be answered. That I want to answer. So yes, of course, I think it's a load of bullshit, because if you were that serious, you wouldn't turn up for one game after you'd done that interview and then never be seen again.
like I say, will we ever see the new director of football? I don't
Of
know
course,
when
we're
we'll.
bleeding. What I mean, the people that think that that's going to happen, that they're out of their mind. It's all a PR stunt. Buy myself a little bit of time. All the happy clappers. Yeah, they'll give me a bit more time. But even some of them, like my mum, she was a massive she loved Top and all of that. But even she's like, no, you can't keep doing this anymore because if we're not careful, and I mean, we could go down to League One, especially with this points deductions coming in. And this will all be his fault. Poor decisions.
That's the thing as well. PSR, I mean, basically, did we get where we got by cheating? I mean, it's not a nice thing to think about, but when we got promoted that year out of the championship, we had to pay a fine to the EFL because we'd done PSR even back then. It's not, it wasn't well known or anything, but that did happen. So, like I say, did we get where we got, and did we win these things because we were cheating?
Well, I mean, you just got relegated from the championship. You're already under PSR scrutiny. I know what we're going to fucking do. Let's go and give Connor Cody 70 grand a week. Let's go and give Harry Winks 80, 90 grand a week. What kind of footballing club does that when you're under PSR, ruling or whatever? All right, we sold Maddison, we sold Barnes, we sold, Tielemans has got a lot of players had gone, but we're going to replace their big wages with more fucking big wages. Make it make sense, because I think that summer, signing Winks, Cody, and whoever else we signed, I think that has put us under more scrutiny than when we were in the Premier League before. Because now you've got Harry Winks, who's not in the squad, on 90 grand a week. You've got Wout Fass, that's not playing, on massive wages, and we're still suffering from it now. And it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And we got in Super Nick DeMarco to get us out of the shit because we found a loophole, but he's not going to be able to do it this time. So we're just delaying the inevitable. We probably would have been better having a points deduction the year we got promoted. Because if we're going to get it this year, we could go down with it. And we took a massive gamble doing that. And I think it's biting them on the arse. And karma's got them.
I think, to be honest with you, I wish we'd just take the points deduction, because I get fed up with every year, are we going to have a points deduction? Are we not going to have a points deduction? What's going to happen? Let's just accept it and let's just move on. Look, for us not to go down, there's got to be 3 clubs that are worse than us. Look, well, we only actually need 2, because one of those we know, Sheffield Wednesday, they're dead and buried. Again, why kick them in the teeth? You'd already taken 10 points off them. Why take more points off them? The owners fucked up anyway. When you look at the clubs that are at the bottom, Norwich have suddenly started to turn things around. But then you have got clubs that are struggling: Portsmouth, Oxford, Swansea. And you know what pisses me off? And I know it's the luck of the draw. We were lucky when we got Pearson. We could have had Chris Wilder. But the manager, no, the owner, sorry, I think he listens sometimes to the fans, because the fans would have gone absolutely bananas if we'd signed him. I was joking at the start about, when it was happening, that, what, I would actually take him because he knows what he's doing, Same a bit with Sean Dyche, but the fans would have been worse than they were with Steve Cooper. But look what he's done with Sheffield United. They're now 4 points clear, and they were bottom when he took over. And that's with players that he doesn't want, because they don't fit his sort of style. We cocked it up. Brendan should have gone, we know, before. But again, he was too loyal. Cooper went too quickly. Ruud van Nistelrooy was like a fart in a lift. He was just hung around forever and a day and was wrong on so many levels. Marty, I think the jury's out on me. I don't think we can afford to sack him, because we've got, we know we couldn't afford to sack Ruud last season, so we sacked him in this season. So I don't think Marty will go. But he's been dealt a bit of a shitty hand, hasn't he?
He has, but he didn't have to sign the contract. That's what I will say. If he didn't feel like he were going to get the tools here to do what he needed to do, then if that was me, I wouldn't sign the contract, because you're setting yourself up to fail. My reputation's on the line, my stock's on the line. But I think with Marty, I feel like he'll probably think this is probably his biggest ever job, and probably the biggest job he'll ever get. So, of course he's going to take it. He's a footballing man, but I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing from him, in my opinion, to shows that he can get anything out of these players. And I can remember doing a show with you, Chris, me and Uncle Clibbo. I think it was me and Uncle Clibbo. When we talked about Chris Wilder, and we completely turned our noses up at him, me and Uncle Clibbo did. We absolutely turned our noses up at him. But now I think, fucking hell, I wish we had him now, because he actually got interviewed, and and I hold my hands up. I said to Uncle Clibbo, I said, we've got this wrong. We've got this horribly wrong, because he's gone back in there. He's completely checked. Right, you're going to fucking run. You're going to work hard. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. None of this tippy tappy bullshit. And look at the way they played through us in that first half. They absolutely ripped us to pieces. I was like, why can't we do that? We've got better players than Sheffield United. Why can't we do stuff like that?
I think they were playing 4-4-2 as well, weren't they?
Exactly.
I can't even remember what the quote is now. And we're going to play 4-4-2 or whatever.
4-4-2, yeah.
I mean, I did a post when that came out just before the game. With bullseye thing. Here's what we could have won. And I just think, but there's still a bit of back of me going, could anybody get a tune out of these players? Could even, do you think so?
Yes, I do. I think there's one that could. Martin O'Neill.
No.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you. Hear me out. Just hear me out. We don't need a Spanish super, with the name of Marty Cifuentes. We need somebody of the Sean Dyche, Chris Wilder, Martin O'Neill caliber. Right, listen here, you fuckers. You're going to fucking work. And if none of you are fucking working, I'll pick up another player that will work and will get us out of this shit. Because when this points deduction comes, we're going to be sat 20th in the league. And then these players, I don't care what anyone says, they will down tools because they're on too much money, and they'll think, I can't be arsed. If there's no effort now, you're not going to get effort when they're near the bottom of the league, because they'll think, I'm too good for this and blah, blah, blah. Martin O'Neill has proven, he's gone to Celtic, they picked up points straight away because he knows how the club runs, and he knows how this club runs, and he knows exactly how the fans are, and he knows exactly how to think when it comes to Leicester, because this is where he started his managerial career, basically, and he knows the club. So I think we need to get someone bit more. I mean, I'm agreeing with you, Chris. We need to go and get a hard nut manager to say, right, you fuckers, you're going to work your asses off now. You ain't going to have a... Go on.
No. I get what you're saying, but Marty's kind of doing that. We've not seen Winks, because let's be honest with you, before the summer window closed, Winks and Faze were only coming on as substitutes. As soon as the window shut, and he went, right, you're not going anywhere now, are you going to play? And they did okay for a few games. He's dropped them both again. Winks isn't even sort of training with the first team. My worry with somebody like O'Neill is he went back into Celtic, and not being funny, but Celtic are it's a pretty shitty league, the Scottish Premier League. Sorry if there's any Scots watching, but it is. It's like a League One down here. And he did all right. I grant you. But that is, like I say, that is Celtic. And he wasn't so long ago. He was at Celtic. The club at Leicester has changed immensely. Could he work with John Rudkin? I don't think so. I think as well, when we look back at Martin O'Neill, and I've got to say, rest in peace, John Robertson. Obviously, he's just passed. But he was, and it was the two of them. It was like Clough and Taylor, And sometimes when Robertson retired through illness, Martin O'Neill was never as good at like Villa, and when he went back to Forest and what have you. And we've got to be careful that we don't. Yes, I know Pearson came back and did well, but it was only a year difference from when we'd got rid of him. So I'm not sure whether Martin could. I just don't think that we can afford to sack this guy, and B, would any other manager get anything out of these players? Because, like I say, Winks has been dropped, and then what gets me is we just see an improvement, 7 points out of 9, a couple of weeks ago, and then it all goes flat again, and if players are not listening to the manager and there's player power and what have you, is that the manager's fault, or is that, is he getting the backing? There's talks about, wasn't he arguing with John Rudkin?
I don't think the players respect him. And another reason why I would pick Martin O'Neill is because I spoke to a QPR fan. I've actually got a good friend that's a QPR fan. And he's always come out and said that he cannot manage big ego players. And I think that's what he's struggling with. Whereas with Martin O'Neill, players like, managers like Sean Dyche, Martin O'Neill, Chris Wilder, all that, they've managed big egos. Whereas I think Martin O'Neill would command respect because he's a legendary manager figure in the game. And if players like Fatawu, Mavididi, Winks, all these big ego players that we've got, because we've got quite a lot in the squad. If you can't respect a legendary manager like Martin O'Neill in the game, then there is something seriously, seriously wrong at that club. Because we've had, I'd say, the past 3 managers that none of the players have respected. I bet they think like, well, we're a bit too good for this guy and all of that shit. Whereas Martin O'Neill has got the stock, the managerial credentials in his past to command respect from these players. You'll fucking listen to me. I'm the manager, and you'll do as you're fucking told.
All right. Again, throwing this one back at you. And I'm not saying you're wrong. We none of us know what the answer is. But let's, do you need to have respect for your manager? Look, when I moved down from Burnley to here, I was put on a team, which I wanted to be on this team, but for a couple of days I'd been on a different team until they sort of sorted things out. But anyway, they moved me onto this team, and it was being managed by Jo, as in female Jo, Joanne, and she was younger than me, and she actually had a chat with me before, that she agreed to take me on because she was managing that team, and she says, "Do you have a problem? Well, will you have a problem with me?" And I went, "Why would I?" She said, "Well, you're older than me. You've been doing the job longer than me." I went, "You're a manager." Why should I have a problem with you? You're the manager. You say jump and I have to say how high, and I don't have a problem with that. And these players should not have a problem. It shouldn't be about respect. It should be about when they open the wage packet and they look at the 25 grand a week or whatever it is they're on, and they should go, I'm playing for that. Shouldn't make a difference whether they respect a manager or not. I think it's, I don't know.
Well, I'll give you an example. Pep Guardiola, how many players have not respected him, and look what happened to them. They were out the door. Ronaldinho didn't respect him. He didn't care. Straight out the door. And that's legendary Ronaldinho. You're not respecting me, you're out the fucking door. Simple as that. If you don't show that persona and that character and that little bit of arrogance to these players, then you're not going to get a tune out of them. Claudio Ranieri, Brendan Rodgers, Nigel Pearson, Martin O'Neill, all got respect. You see multiple players come out and say how they respect him and how he was as a manager. It just depends on your managerial skills. And if you get that feeling off a manager, you will respect him. So I do think it's about respect, because my job's at stake here. I'm the man that's in charge of picking the best team to win a football match or anything like that. And if you fuckers let me down, it's on me. You fuckers get to stay here and pick up your 90 grand a week still. I don't. I get sacked. So I think you have to command respect for managers nowadays. But that's just my opinion.
No, and it's a valid opinion. Just out of interest, there was a thing I saw about how much managers had got from being sacked and what have you, and number one was Jose Mourinho, who had £40 million just in fees from being sacked out of clubs. I mean, he need never work again, in the end of the day. But yeah, I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And when he comes in, he's then got to earn the respect of the players while he's there. But when he first comes in, he's the manager. He's the one that the owner of the club has put his trust in to get it. And I hate the saying, oh, he does, because Rude used to use it a lot. Oh, I can see them doing this on the pit, on the training pitch and what have you. I don't fucking care what they do on the training pitch. It's what they do, on the football pitch itself that makes I'm interested in. Yeah, and they're not. They are letting this club down. I mean, Clibo, look, he said it spot on there. And I didn't think I'd ever agree with anything Clibo said, but I'm going to. Hi, Clibo. Sorry, mate. Millionaire at 21. That changes everything. It so does. It so does. How many? And has Monga ever cleaned a pair of boots apart from his own in his life? In fact, I bet he doesn't even clean his own. Because I bet there's somebody there that does it for him. There's none of that coming through. There's none of that. But Marty, as I'm looking at it, and yes, I get pissed off when we lose, and I hate the fact that when it was, I think it was the Sheffield United game, he came out and said that second half was better. That's how I wanted us to play. Well, why not play that fucking team and that formation at the start then, you Spanish wanker? But then again, I look at it and thinking, would anybody do any better? For me, this season, I mean, I can't believe there was a lot of a lot of fans when we came down said, "Yeah, we'll come straight back up like last time. Yeah, it'll be a piece of piss and what have you." And some of us were in, we could be a Luton here. Be careful, The points difference, the points deduction is obviously going to make a difference whenever we see it come. But I think this season, we've got to write it off. But like I say, that Great Escape, had we gone down that year, I would have still loved my club. I'd have still wanted to go and see them. I'd have still wanted to travel 8 hours. I mean, it was a financial thing I couldn't do. I mean, my son went off to uni. But I'd have still paid and travelled the 8 hours, a day there and back to watch them because they cared. They put the effort in, and all this, we haven't got any leaders or whatever. Well, again, should we have...
That whole season, even where we were bottom of the league, we were playing well. We were grinding. We were trying every fucking game, and every game I went with Mum. I was like, oh, I'm proud. I'm proud of them. They gave everything. We lose 1-0 to Man City, or we lose to whoever. They gave everything, but then they found a way to win. And then the mixture of a little bit of quality with combination with that hard work, we got what we deserved because all year we played well. We got some good results that year. We drew to Arsenal, drew to Everton, beat Man United 5-3. That through hard work, grit, and determination.
Yeah. And I tell you something as well is that we never lost a game by more than 2 goals. I don't think.
No, we didn't. You're right.
So, that's the difference. I think, like I say, I'm prepared to write this season off. There's no way I want to get promoted because I think it'll be even more embarrassing than last time. But I just want to see some passion. Now, I was going to read something out that somebody put this in the group before and it's a guy called Steve Evs. And he says, boycott West Ham at home on the 5th of January, 2026. Enough is enough. Stay at home, vote with your feet. You kind of touched on that earlier on. That I'm getting to the feeling where that's the only way they're going to sort of actually realise how we feel.
Yeah, well, that's what I'll be doing, Chris. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be voting with my feet. I'm voting with my feet tomorrow night. I'm going to come home. I'm going to get in the bath and I'm going to do fuck all. I'm not even going to pay attention to it because until some certain fans realise how much shit we are in, with this guy in charge, nothing is going to change. You know, I hear people saying, "Oh, you know, top needs this, that, and the other." Do something about it then. Get some banners. Voice your opinion, because we're all shareholders in this club. Without us, this club's fuck all.
Yeah,
They are nothing without us, fans. Absolutely nothing. So fans realise they have the power to change it. I mean, look at the Super League thing. The amount of fans that came together and we got it shut down. We got it shut down. That's the power of football fans. People don't realise how much of impact that we can have on saving a club or anything like that. So do something about it. Use your shareholding privilege to your advantage.
yeah, but do it in a nice way. I didn't like the chanting
yeah.
the Norwich way and what have you.
I was there. And look. I'm all for, you can hate, you know, you can be so annoyed about someone doing their job poorly, but to wish someone dead is a step too far. I can't stand Rutkin. I think he's a cancer on the club, but to wish him dead is a step too far. You know, come on, calm down now.
Definitely. Did I say West Ham, by the way? Because
it's West Brom. It's West Brom.
It is West Brom. Next year it may well be West Ham. Who knows?
Well, yeah, exactly.
It is going to be a slow turnaround. There's no doubt about it. I honestly, looking back, I don't think Enzo would have actually kept us up. But we wouldn't have been as bad as we were there. But I just think I'm embarrassed to say that my football team is turning me off football. It's turning me off the love of the game. There's a lot wrong with football as a whole, but just this club is making me think, why am I bothering?
Yeah, you're right, Chris. I mean, obviously, Uncle Clibbo told me to tune in, so I thought, oh right. I was like, and I've seen your title. It's Mr. Can't Be. I was like, fucking hell, Chris is really like, and I know how passionate you are. You know, you've got all your stuff in the background. You can care about your club, even though you live where you live now. Like, you still really give a shit about your club, and you know, the diehard fans like yourself, like me, like Uncle Clibbo, and we're fed up. We're fed up, and you know it. But the problem is there's too many fans that are accepting this bullshit. They're accepting what is going on because of what they've done in the past. And I keep hearing this utter bollocks every single week. Oh, you know, they've done a lot. No, it's the dad. It's his dad's dream. It was never his dream. It's his dad's dream. He's just took it on. You know, this was all his dad's plan to make us a big club, to challenge for trophies and all of that. His son had no influence. He's a silver spoon-fed, spoiled little shit. And he doesn't know what to do. He hasn't got a clue.
You climb off that fence, Ree.
It's true, though. It's true.
Yes, I mean, like you say, you go back and you look at like the Shipmans and all of those that used to own the club. They had no idea what they were doing.
No, of course they didn't.
You employ people to do it. And I can't believe that we have gone from absolutely loving this club to, you know, the owners, I mean, you know, and everything they did for us. But I'm afraid a free beer or a free bottle of water, you know, or a free bacon butty for an early away day kickoff isn't gonna sort it out. I mean, I probably will do the watch along tomorrow, but I don't know if I can. It takes up a lot, as you know how many shows I do on here, and it takes up a lot of my time. It takes up a lot of my money, if I'm honest with you, because, you know, StreamYard bumped the price up when they got bought out. And I'm just thinking, why am I bothering? You know, I actually, because I do a radio show as well on Dorset Riviera Radio, breakfast show on Saturday and Sundays, and I'm actually enjoying that more than I am enjoying doing the football. And it's funny, but like I say, I've watched one game in about 21 days. The Derby one was the first one I missed. Watford was the last one I missed, and I just saw the QPR game in the middle. And I can't say I've missed it. You know, I'm actually looking at possibly going back to Lanzarote in January, and it doesn't bother me that there'll be matches on while I'm away. And I don't know if Top realises that's what he is, or that's what the club has done to some of us fans.
Well, you made the point, Chris. I can't remember what show it was. I watched it, and you were like, and look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but how long are we going to keep using the excuse of his dad passing to give him a free pass? It happened 7. Is it 7 years ago now? About 7 years ago, something like that. Yeah. How long are we going to keep using that excuse? It happened 7 years ago. Yes, it's terrible. It's tragic, but you need to put sentiment aside and listen. Your dad done amazing things, but you're not your dad. You're not Vichai. You don't know the understanding of football, and you've got a completely different mindset to your dad. And it's clear to see he's got a completely different mindset to his dad. So you need to put that aside and think, I can't do this. For the good of the club, I will sell up. And I'm sure his dad, God rest his soul, will appreciate more that he was honest with himself rather than keep, it's me dad's though, it's me dad's. No, be honest with yourself, and his dad will, like I said, God rest his soul, would appreciate that more than running it into the ground. All his hard work's gone.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Clibo says there again, Anstey have signed Waghorn. We missed a trick.
I've seen that. To be fair, I did see it.
I haven't. I've not been going on Leicester websites. I went onto the thing today, and there were so many posts that I just hadn't authorised, and I just didn't. I haven't even seen that, so I didn't know. But again, a player we had in showed more passion than than any of the players that are on that pitch now. Very quickly before because I was only going to come on for 15 minutes and just have a vent.
Sorry, Chris.
Yes, no. It's nice to have you on again. Wayne, I don't get the Genesis link, by the way. You'd have to explain the Genesis link to me. But Michael Antonio, however you pronounce it, I'm looking at that and thinking, yeah, I think he could do a job for us. When you look at who we've got up front, you've got Ayew, who bless him. I have to say I've warmed to Ayew. The way that he got everybody together in that. By making bloody captain for me. Daka, who, let's be honest with you, can't even celebrate properly, can he?
Oh my God.
Carranza, who look when you sat on the bench. And Silko Thomas replaces Ayew and you or it comes on as a striker and you don't. Why is he on the bench? And Jake Edwards, I don't think he's going to be given a chance. He's again somebody who just makes the numbers up on the bench. I think this guy, if we play to his strengths, and that's always the problem, we've got this 4-2-3-1. I've got my maths right here. 4-2-3-1, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why I hate that formation with a passion. We give so many goals away because we play it out from the back, and Solarczyk isn't good enough. So put Bekovic back in. I don't think he should have been dropped anyway. He was doing it as better than Solarczyk. But what are your thoughts on before we go on Antonio?
I'd have him as a pay-as-you-play contract because he's come out of a nasty car crash and he needs to get back to full fitness. And he's not. Let's be honest, he's not going to be at that when he comes. If he does sign a contract, so I'd give him a pay-as-you-play. Yeah. And if he does play, I think is exactly what we need: a big brute up front who's got experience in the game and he knows where the net is. But I would play him as a 2. Play maybe something like him and Daka. Daka, you be the legs. Do all the work for Antonio, and Antonio will be in the middle because he's a big brute and he knows where the net is. So if you're going to play him, you've got to play him as a 2. I've got a West Ham mate who I went to school with, and he says he'll be a good player for you lot in the Championship. He'll score some fair few goals, but from what I'm hearing from my source is that it'll be a pay-as-you-play contract sort of thing on low wages, which is fine. I'm all right with that. As long as don't give him
totally makes sense. I don't think we'll ever play a 2, but do you remember a young lad called, a young lad, Tony Cottee?
Oh, yeah. We
brought him back from Malaysia, and I actually had him on the channel, did an interview, and he thought, who the hell's this Martin O'Neill coming and doing what have you? And he said my legs had gone, but my brain hadn't. So what I did was I let Heskey do all the running, and then I just make sure I was on the end of it.
Yeah. So, it was a brilliant poacher, and he won his only trophy with us. He speaks very highly about us. He does. He's a proper West Ham. He's a proper West Ham like kind of guy. But he really loved his time at Leicester, and he was a fantastic poacher.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it is interesting, like I say, get these old players, but get somebody young. Whether that's going to be Daka or not, I don't know. If he scores another goal, he may break his neck. Who knows?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see. Right,
I've got to say, the highlight of tonight's show, I've got to say before you go, the highlight of tonight's show is seeing your pyjama trousers drying behind you.
Brilliant. Yeah, hey, gotta be done. But no, cheers for having me on, mate.
Well, I'm doing exactly the same thing, but not in the room behind my camera. Reece, brilliant to see you again, mate.
And you, Chris, mate. Take it easy. Ta-da.
Cheers. Bye-bye. There we go. Thanks to Reece for coming on. Thanks for Clipper. Thanks for everybody. Look, I got it off my chest. Do I do a watch along tomorrow? I'm going to decide in the morning. If you see a post saying there is one, there is one. If not, there's not. Cheers, Wayne. Thank you. I'm going to message you afterwards, Wayne, so stay on the old X for me. But thanks, everybody. But it is how I feel. I just feel so depressed about this club at the moment. And, you know, it's not just one thing. It's everything that's going on. And I never ever thought I'd fall out. Do it, says Clibbo. Poking the bear there. Yeah, I never thought I'd get to the point where I'm saying, you know, I can't be arsed, and I'm falling out of love with my football team. And I'll never go and support anybody else the way I support Leicester. Never, ever would. Leicester are my team, but we'll see. New year, new start. Fuck off. New year, let's get rid of Winks, let's get rid of FaZe. They're not going to be around, are they? You know, Winks wants to go. Apparently he's been talking to a Spanish club. I hope he does. I do, Wayne. That's what I need. I need a group hug. That is it. Where are you when I need you, Wayne? Where are you? What's that lioness that always likes hugs? I can't remember what she's called. Just gone from Man United to Man City. She's a big hugger. Won't mind. She can hug me. Be more than happy. But yeah, if I do it, it'll be tomorrow night, obviously, because that's when we're playing. But thanks very much. Just wanted to get it off my chest. Interesting to say I'm not the only one that feels this way. And like I say, none of us are saying that we hate the club. None of us are saying that, you know, we're never going to support the club again. All we're saying is that they are turning us off. They are making us not enjoy supporting Leicester City. Might be back tomorrow night, might not be back tomorrow night. Thanks to everybody that was in the chat. If you're new, please do subscribe. Do all the things it says on the bottom there. It really does help the channel. And if you're listening via your favourite podcast platform, I thank you very much, Lee. Have a good night. What's left of it. Hope you've had a good Christmas. I did say that at the start, but I'll say it again. But I hope you have had a good Christmas, and I'll see you when I see you. Ta-da for now.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.